tendrá lugar en Asia. Será en Corea del Sur, en Seoul.
The announcement 1.5 million people were waiting for. Their sights set on Seoul. South Korea will host the next World Youth Day.
Hi, I'm Jessica Easthope. It will be the first held in Asia since 1995, but you'll have to wait until 2027 to get there. That's okay, though, because the pilgrims from Portugal are still processing this past World Youth Day. This weekend, they saw some of the harshest conditions of their trip. Still, the Diocese of Brooklyn's young people say they would do it all over again.
With their sleeping bags in hand, more than 1.5 million people started out on a 6-mile trek in triple-digit heat to the vigil that defined their pilgrimage to Portugal.
It was very grueling. I was struggling, but God carries me through all struggles. So definitely, my faith in God has strengthened.
Vincent Flores, a pilgrim from Our Lady Help of Christians in Midwood, remembers lying on the rocky ground as the sun went down, feeling closer than ever to his faith.
My prayer life definitely will be changed. I think when I pray, I'll be praying more deeply and more from the heart.
Diocese of Brooklyn Bishop Robert Brennan knows the pilgrims sacrificed for their faith on that walk and all throughout World Youth Day.
They've been making those sacrifices all week. There've been a series of early mornings and late nights, bearing the hardships, dealing with big crowds. They are sacrifices, but in the end, it was worth it.
Bishop Brennan was also in that crowd as adoration in front of the Blessed Sacrament began ahead of the overnight campout.
They brought the Blessed Sacrament out. The whole place just quieted down. Can you imagine that? 1.5 million people in one place in total silence. It just goes to show you the depth of the Catholic faith.
For the Holy Hour, when there was so much quiet for that Holy Hour, and we were there worshiping Jesus together.
Pastor of St. Thomas Aquinas Church in Flatlands, Father Dwayne Davis, says the most rewarding part of the pilgrimage was seeing it all come together for the pilgrims.
Seeing them grow in their faith, seeing the light come on in their head, in their eyes, it was really great joy.
After that campout, the Pope joined pilgrims again on Sunday to celebrate the concluding Mass, something youth from the Diocese of Brooklyn say they'll remember for the rest of their lives. And that's not the end of our coverage. World Youth Day is all about bringing the faith back home. So tomorrow we'll check in with 2 pilgrims from the Diocese of Brooklyn who plan to keep that momentum going. That's tomorrow, Tuesday, August 8th, right here on Currents News. Once all the travelers are home, they begin preparations and fundraising for the next massive pilgrimage. And with their sights set on Seoul, the work is about to begin. The Archbishop of Seoul said this is a great opportunity.
Maybe those who come to Korea will taste Korean culture, different taste, but they also will feel the unity in Christ, I think.
Seoul has hosted several successful international events despite being in a technical state of war with North Korea since the 1950s. Pope Francis said he wasn't sure if he'd be the one celebrating with the youth there. He'll be 90 years old in 2027. But for now, he's back at the Vatican resting. Elise Allen, senior correspondent for Crux, traveled home with the Holy Father aboard the papal plane. She joins us now. Hi, Elise.
Hello, Jessica.
So, Elise, South Korea, everything is obviously still in the works, but are there any insight right now into North Korea's involvement in the event?
Obviously, it's a good question. It's very early in the game. A lot of it really depends on sort of the development of the geopolitical situation over the next 4 years. So it's sort of a watch and see situation.
And Elise, I want to talk a little bit about the press conference aboard the papal plane. The Pope spoke about his health. Let's take a listen.
Salute. My health is good. My stitches were taken out. I live a normal life. I have a bandage that I have to wear for 2-3 months.
Now, at the start of this trip, we asked you about the Holy Father's health, and you said the pontiff was going to return rejuvenated. Do you think that actually happened?
I have to say, after spending 5 days with Pope Francis in Portugal, yes, he is rejuvenated. You know, we got glimpses of sort of the beginning, the Pope we met in 2013 and World Youth Day in Rio, you know, this spontaneous and feisty Pope who is always going off script, and who is holding unscheduled meetings. You know, Francis was very much doing the same thing in Lisbon this week. He deviated from almost all of his speeches there this week, to the extent that people thought there were problems with his eyesight that the Vatican spokesman had to come back and respond to, saying, no, there's no problem. He's a pastor and he wants to speak from the heart. We saw that side of Francis certainly return this week.
And Elise, something else brought up on the plane: sex abuse in Portugal. Testimonies point to thousands of cases of child sex abuse. Remember, Francis met with victim survivors during his visit. He said he's satisfied with how transparent the church there has been, but was critical of the media. Let's listen to that.
The process is going well. I am notified of how things are going. Maybe the news made it appear out of proportion, but things are going well.
Elise, as a journalist, what do you think about this?
The Catholic Church has done a lot. It's taken a lot of steps in recent years, especially Pope Francis had this summit in 2019 with the leaders of all bishops' conferences around the world, meeting with survivors and experts to talk about the problem and how to move forward and create guidelines. And the Pope has established several new laws in recent years to kind of get after not only the abuse, but the cover-up. But there are some remaining and serious questions about how those laws are being applied and whether there is enough follow-up, whether it's just paper or whether in the application this is really having an effect. So it's a bit of a mixed bag. I think there is perhaps some, blowing out of proportion, but there are also some questions that do need to be asked on the part of journalists.
Elise Allen, senior correspondent for Crux, thanks for keeping us in the loop for yet another papal trip.
Thank you.
That is this Currents News Update. I'm Jessica Easthope. Thank you for joining us, because we are putting your faith in the news. We leave you tonight with one last look at the pilgrimage to Portugal.
Levantemos os braços, a pressa no ar. Jesus vive, não nos deixa sós, não mais